Hi all, I have another wonderful game and beautiful game of Paul Morphy to show you. So this is in the romantic era of chess, and what could be more romantic than being played in Paris, France. So this is 1859. Paul Morphy plays e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and now bishop c4. So avoiding the more trendy Roy Lopez, well, for modern times, knight f6. We have d4 here. This is a known line. White gives up 2 pawns rather dramatically, so not just 1 but 2. Now there's this pin, and you might think black's defending with d5, surely. What does white play here? This is actually rather well known nowadays, but at the time, who knows what was documented. Paul Morphy might have had to improvise this whole opening sequence as well. There's a great move here for white, which you should play. If I give you 5 seconds. Bishop takes d5, yes, that's the book move. Because after queen takes, we have, can you see? There's 2 pins here, that's the clue. Knight c3. Now Schrufer moved his queen to h5. Nowadays, actually there's a tendency to move it here, where it's kind of more protected and more out of harm's way. And black tries to scramble to castle queenside as quickly as possible. But here queen h5 was played. Sometimes it might be a target and a loose piece on h5. Knight takes e4 was played. Now black's king needs to be shielded here to these kind of checks. We have bishop e6. This has the advantage potentially of trying to castle queenside. And usually players with white in this position try and prevent that with bishop g5. Here we get an interesting move instead, knight eg5. So putting pressure on e6. And black counterattacks with bishop b4 here, leaving his king still in the center. Perhaps he should have castled queenside as soon as he could. So white play in this position. Very, very interesting move is played in this position. If I give you 5 seconds, what would you play here? Well, Paul Morphy actually played rook takes e6. Knight takes e6 might actually technically be better, but this is a fun move, a really fun move instead. Rook takes e6. After taking, knight takes e6, and yeah, it seems as though the king is stranded here in the center, and the knight also threatens. Knight takes c7, knight takes g7, forking queen and king. So this is a very, very interesting sequence, this exchange sack. Very, very interesting. And black, if black was really cold and clinical, black maybe one day would have found, it seems totally absurd, but maybe one day would have found king d7. A normal human being wouldn't usually consider such moves, isn't it, just going into the firing lane? But maybe with precise defense, it's the best move. But in this game we see queen f7, which looks very logical to defend the 2 pawns. Knight fg5, gaining a tempo. And now here, this might be attractive to some players, and it looks like a very good move. But also this other move Paul Morphy played carries some venom as well, queen e2. We see bishop d6, stopping bishop f4 now. But knight takes g7 check, king d7, queen g4 check, king d8. And now there's a wonderful conception here in this position which Paul Morphy carries out. A very, very daring conception indeed. And it takes great visualization. At the moment, the king escape squares are quite restricted. You can see c8, e8 covered. But does white want to use these pieces in the attack? Can you see what Paul Morphy played? It's really an ingenious move. Note also that black is threatening the back row. So the back row is slightly vulnerable at this moment in time as well. So white play here. What do you think Paul Morphy played in this position? If I give you 5 seconds, starting from now. Okay, knight f7. So the bishop can come to g5 potentially with check, sorting out the back row issue, getting more pieces into the attack. So queen takes f7, bishop g5 check. Now there's a number of defensive possibilities here, surely. We see bishop e7 being played. Let's stick with that one. Knight e6 check. Now black probably felt his material up, right? He doesn't want a draw or anything. So king e8, he might have noticed that, you know, knight takes c7. He can't go here because of bishop h6. And that's termination of his king. So his material up. He went for king d8, seeking refuge on the queen side. Sorry, after knight takes e6, pardon me, king c8. So Paul Morphy, though, had this covered. He played knight c5 check. Now if king d8, there's queen d7 checkmate. King b8. Can you see the point? What does white play here? If I give you 5 seconds. And can you see the follow-up, which is the most crucial thing? Can you see the follow-up? Okay, knight d7 check. And the point is a deadly double check. Knight b6, double check. So if king d8, we have queen d7. The king goes to b8, and the final crushing move, well, nearly the final move. Can you see? It's a beautiful one. I hope you pause the video and find this move. It's really good if you can find this move, and you might be able to use it in your own games, etc. Okay, queen c8 check, taking away the last escape square of the king, so surrounded by its pieces everywhere. But now knight d7, smothered mate, it's checkmate, and this particular type of checkmate is the smothered checkmate. A beautiful game, but a little disclaimer here: don't put this game through computers. This is the romantic era of chess. There are improvements for both sides. You could say from the attacking player's point of view, there might be more modest moves, more calmer moves, quieter moves. And from the defensive side, there's probably more clinical, scarier moves to play. But would we play them in that era? Probably not. So factor in the era. And, you know, people wanted to play fun games. They wanted to walk the high wire, not just on the pavement. And Paul Morphy certainly walked on the higher wire in this game, and it resulted in a beautiful finish. So I hope you liked it. Comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. Thanks so much.